Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the joy of the joy of coding. It's really great to be back here at Portland State. We've got what I hope will be a fun term ahead of us. Let me just go into full presentation mode. We're going to start off tonight. And tonight is all about learning about the course, getting started with Git and GitHub, and we'll probably use the entire time together tonight. So I think we're scheduled to go from now 6:40 until 8:20. Is that right? No, 8:20, 8:30, 8:30. Okay, cool. And we'll probably take a 10-minute break in the middle because we'll need it. Um, I'm David Whitlock. I am the professor for this course. I've been teaching at Portland State for a very long time now, and it's been this is the course that I teach, and some variation of it. So I've evolved it a lot over the years. I've learned a lot from teaching and from my students, and tried to integrate that back into how I approach the class, the content that we cover, and how we do it. So I'm really looking forward to exploring these concepts with you this term. So tonight, I'll see myself. We'll talk about a number of things. First off, with some introductions. I'll introduce myself. I'll introduce our graders. We're not going to do each of you. There are too many in the course. Like when the course has been smaller, we've done that. So apologize for that. So don't worry. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to have an opportunity to speak. Although you will have an opportunity to work with each other. We're going to discuss the course, what it's all about. We'll talk about the syllabus, so you all know what to expect. This course is being offered in hybrid, and I'm curious about what your experiences are. We're learning in a hybrid mode. I want to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, ideas that you have for the course, so we can make it as good an experience as possible. And then we'll finish off tonight by using Git and GitHub to get started with the course. Make sure everybody's got an environment they can work with to get started with things. So let's check the chat here. Oh, Dylan can't hear anything. Can other people who are remote hear things? Might just be you, Dylan. Okay, we got some other people that say they can, so maybe Dylan just need to join and rejoin. Thanks for speaking up. Not that Dylan can hear me now, but anyway. Awesome. Well, so I'll start by introducing myself. I've a lot of students have come through my class over the years, and I really enjoy interacting with you, hearing about what you're doing in school, outside of school, your perspectives on software development, on what it is that we do, the craft that we apply. I teach here in the evenings, but during the day, I'm the director of software engineering at Tripwire. We make cybersecurity software. And also, I have a long history with Portland State, including, like almost 10 years, I think, on the steering committee for the Piece of Internship program. I'm a big fan of Portland State, of the computer science department, and really the mission of this university. It's really quite unique that we have, that there is this public school, this large public school in a downtown core area that that has its mission for the community. Right, there aren't too many people from out of state that go to Portland State, other than Washington. And so I think it makes it a really unique community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And so thank you all for coming. And so what we're going to be doing this term is exploring concepts in contemporary software development. I think of myself as a practitioner, and I'm getting to that point in my career where there's a lot of things that I've learned along the way, often the hard way, that I want to pass on to you, so that as you take whatever step that you take next, whether it's entering the world of professional software development or whether it's continuing in academia, you're familiar with some of these more advanced tools and concepts that professional software engineers apply every day. And so I hope what you learn or get to experience is things that will bring joy and flow to the code that you write. So it doesn't always have to feel like toil or just magic when it works. We have two graders joining us this term, and the graders are an essential part of the of the experience for myself and for you as students. I'm really glad that we got two of them, and they're both great. It's Puya Nuri and Nani Hagenbart. Puya took the course last summer. Super great, really excited to be a grader. Nani has lots of experience grading in other courses. Maybe some of you have encountered them in your own CS 160, 161 series. They will be doing a lot of the assessment for the course, and so they'll be providing feedback on your projects and on your quizzes. We don't have a TA for this course per se. Instead, I'll answer the questions about content for the course, or you've got questions about expectations, like, oh, how should my program behave, or hey, when is this project due? Please ask them on Slack, and I'll try to reply as quickly as I can. So they're my partners in delivering the course this term. I think one of the, like as I said, I've been teaching at Portland State for a very long time, and the course continues to evolve. Over the last couple of years, I've added a bunch of new content to the course. I've renamed the course, but you might see references to older incarnations of the course. And so a couple of the slides, a couple of the lectures are still entitled like Contemporary Software Development or Advanced Programming with Java. It's all still relevant, even though some of it is kind of old by now. We'll say long in the tooth, or maybe mature, well-aged. But it's all relevant to what we're doing. Something I wanted to point out here at the beginning is that this is only the second time that the course has been offered 2 times a week. For many years, I just taught it on Wednesday nights, and we were all in person. Let's see here. Yeah. And someone asked about these slides. These slides aren't that relevant. I just use them to introduce things. I'll show you where all the relevant information is. The 2 times a week is still kind of an experimental mode. I did it once. I did it over the summer, twice a week. Overall, I was pleased with it. But that's in the summer. It's an 8-week offering. It's the first time I've done an 11-week offering where the course is offered twice a week. So I apologize in advance if sometimes the pacing is a little awkward, either too fast or too slow. Please let me know in terms of how we're managing our time together, then we can make it work. I'm glad. I think overall, I'm glad that we have 2 interaction points a week. And trust me, no one, including myself, wants to sit through a 4-hour lecture. So, I think having it broken up will overall work well. So again, but let me know how it goes. I'm ultimately here for you. I know this stuff already, and my goal is to provide content in a way that you can internalize it and then apply it. So, there's a couple of beginning thoughts that I wanted to put out there about how software is developed in the 21st century. Software, it's cliche to say that software is ubiquitous, but I think as software developers, we need to understand what that means. It's like, we are providing services to everyone in the world. And the software, though, it's written by people still. Yeah, sure, there's AI and stuff like that, but still, we're the ones that are at the wheel, and I think it's important for us to understand the implications of the fact that people are doing things that have such a broad impact. There are more and more people in the software development profession, and that's helped us very rapidly uncover new ways of doing things, to be more effective, to provide better quality solutions in a more timely manner, to have to bring software and tools to the community, to the market that are easy to use. And so some things that I keep in mind when when I do my job, I'd like you to ponder too in this course, is the impact that high quality software can have on the experience of our users. Right? It's about solving problems that are relevant to them. It's also important to keep in mind that software development is not a solitary pursuit. While we have incredible tools at our fingertips, people working together can create an amplifying effect that allows you to solve problems that one person couldn't solve by themselves or couldn't solve by themselves in nearly as quick a time. And so you get to experience what it's like to be working with others to write software. Another thing that I didn't really appreciate until after I got out of school was that the vast majority of code that I work with was written by someone else. Or if it was written by me, it was written by me a long time ago, or a while ago, and I didn't know as much back then. I'm much smarter now than I was 5 minutes ago because I've learned more things. But there's a craft. There are tools and there are skills to learn how to work with other people's code, and we'll be experiencing a lot of that in this course. And then also, software is not static. I think in one of the lectures I say that it's like the most malleable substance known to humans. It really is easy to change compared to like a building that you build or a bridge or a river, right? Those kinds of things. And so because it can evolve so quickly, it must evolve quickly because that way we can respond quickly to what people need, the problems that they're encountering right now. And so these are some of the themes that we'll explore in this course. Another important aspect of this course is demonstrating the quality of your code and doing so with tests. So we'll be emphasizing test-driven development in this course, which means that before you write some code, you write a test to validate what that code ought to do. While admittedly this might be kind of awkward at first, what it helps you do is write high-quality code faster, and you can demonstrate that's the right thing. Not that it passes the test cases in your head, or that of course it must work correctly because I wrote it and I'm perfect. Nope, you demonstrate how perfect and how awesome that you are. So we'll see these techniques for writing a test that validates that your code is correct before you write the code itself, and then what you build up over time is a suite of tests that give you rapid feedback as to the quality of your code at any given moment. So as you add more code, as you make changes, as you refactor your code to make it easier to use going forward, the test suite tells you whether or not you've broken anything. And that is a very important and very powerful tool to have because it helps you go fast, and it helps you go fast confidently. So as I said, we'll be exploring building software together. I'll be doing this through pair and ensemble programming or mob programming. Because it really allows everybody to bring their brains to the table and to collaborate and share their ideas in a way that really builds optimal solutions. While at first it might take a little time for the group or the pair to gel, overall I've found that this style of programming really lowers the overall cognitive load. Because people can switch between multiple roles. Sometimes, your fingers are at the keyboard and you're focused on writing the code. And other times, you're maybe taking a step back and thinking about the problem, the architecture, or making a note for like, oh yeah, look, and after we get this one test case working, let's work on this one next. Or oh, here's an opportunity for refactoring. We'll do that. We'll do that next. When you have multiple people working on a code, you find the bugs sooner because there are more eyes on it, more people thinking about like, well, what happens if it encounters this input, or like, what happens if you perform this series of operations? And you end up with a much more resilient team of developers because you have multiple people who understand the code. Not only the what of the code, but also the why of the code. And so then when you need to add more things to it, you've got this group of people, any of whom can contribute. So as an individual, you spend a lot less time being stuck. Right? We've all done it. You're working by yourself and usually late at night and, when you're probably not at your best. And boy, there's a problem that you just can't get through and you bang your head against it. And then you figure out the solution and it's like, oh, wow, that was actually a very simple solution. I wish I had thought of that 2 hours ago when I was fresh. Well, when you have more people, when you have people that are sort of, jumping in and jumping out of hands-on keyboard, you get to a resolution to a problem faster because you have more people contributing to it. Like I said, leveraging code from others is another important aspect of the course. I think of the revolution that's taken place in the last 25 years with open source software. Actually, closer to 30 years now of open source software. There is this huge ecosystem of software out there. And there are so many tools, many of which are free and easy to use, that we use every day. You'll be using them in this class. Things like like Maven, like the Java library, the Java runtime, IntelliJ. All of these things are code that someone else has written that you get to take advantage of, either at a coding level or at a tool level. And again, this lets you go fast. because you're leveraging someone else's solution, a solution that has been vetted by hundreds, thousands, millions of people, and you can build on top of that to solve the problem that you want to solve. But there are skills that are needed there. So you need to make sense of a large code base that you didn't write. Not very few projects are greenfield. And so in this class, you'll start out with some code that I wrote, and you have to figure out how to leverage it in your own projects. It's also a good way to learn good practices to follow. So coding patterns that make sense. You'll be seeing lots of object-oriented coding patterns encoded in the Java APIs that you work with. And these are the kinds of things where you'll, once you get used to using the pattern, you might find places to apply it in your own code. And then we'll get lots of experience sharing code using Git as a distributed version control tool. So when you work in your pairs and your mobs, you'll be using Git to share code with each other. And this is all kinds of stuff that can bring joy to coding. And then the last aspect, the last principle of the course is writing code that will evolve for the future. And in your project, which will be built up in 6 phases this term, we'll give you an opportunity to do that because software, because it's so malleable, it's never really done, right? You can always add more things. You can take things away that aren't needed anymore. So and this is a really good thing because it allows you to respond to new requirements, new learnings that come in. And we'll also be talking about how code can be refactored to have better internal quality, better naming, better organization, things to make it more approachable, to make it easier to work with and extend and evolve over time. So those are kind of things that we're going to explore this term. Now, we're going to be exploring those concepts using the Java programming platform and the Android application development environment. And I just want to call it out here. This is not going to be bleeding edge stuff, right? These are things that, while probably are new to many of you. If you're looking for the latest hottest language to do the latest state-of-the-art thing, yeah, this really isn't that, and that's okay because the concepts that I'm hoping that you get to explore are timeless. So things like refactoring, things like test-driven development, things like mobbing and pairing can be applied no matter what language you're using, no matter what platform you're using. I've just found that for this course, Java and Android work really well for exploring these particular concepts in contemporary software development. The Java API provides lots of good examples of object orientation. And the tools that you'll see with IntelliJ and Android Studio for refactoring, sort of working with code, the integrations with GitHub, provide a high quality professional developer level of tooling to help you go fast. And then also, Android, I think, provides a overall relevant platform to develop user interfaces on. And it is relatively straightforward to use. And you'll see by the end of the course when we get to that, because you've been working with Java APIs, all along, in many respects, Android is just another Java API to learn. You'll see lots of, again, familiar coding practices and patterns that you can apply to help you get started quickly. So those are the kind of the concepts that we'll be learning. Before I start moving on to the more mechanics of the class, any questions, thoughts, ideas, comments that you'd like to share about sort of the concept of what we're doing here in the Joy of Coding? If folks who are remote, feel free to speak up in chat or type it in the chat. Okay. Let's talk about sort of the nature of the class and how we meet and how we work together. Let's see here. Ever since the lockdown ended and we've been able to return to campus, I've offered this class as a hybrid class. So the class meets on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:40 p.m. And I'm always here on campus. I come down to deliver the lecture. This is how I think is most effective for me to convey what I want to convey to you. And so what you'll see here is the in-class discussions. lots of demonstrations. So I'll be showing you how to do things and writing code with you and having discussions about the code that I write. And there'll also be activities during class. We'll be doing one actually quite shortly where we'll talk about where you'll explore your experiences working in a hybrid environment. I stream the classes live on Zoom, and so the Zoom information is posted on Canvas. And I record all of the lectures and all the classes, and I post them on my YouTube channel. And this allows you to review them at your leisure. And also, if for whatever reason you can't make class, hey, it's winter, people get sick, right? Or hey, there's snow in your neighborhood and you can't get out to come to campus. I want to make sure that everybody has access to what it is that's covered. Because for the vast majority of what we'll do, yeah, you don't have to be here in the room, right? We'll be talking. We can have a conversation over Zoom. I'll be showing you things. You'll be able to see that over Zoom. And as I say here in the last bullet, the attendance isn't mandatory but that being said, I truly believe, and my students have told me, it's like you'll have a better experience if you're here in the room, right? We'll be able to interact. You'll be able to look me in the eye, ask questions. I'll be able to gauge how many people are falling asleep, right? When you're all at home, probably lying in bed anyway. I don't know if you dozed off or not, right? I could be super boring. I wouldn't know. I do encourage you to attend, but it's not mandatory. I don't take attendance. There's no penalty or anything for that because you're adults, right? And we all have adult lives, and so you might have other responsibilities on any given night, and ultimately you know how best to manage your time. So, you don't need to come except for 5 classes, five sessions, 5 meetings. So there are 5 times where you do need to be here in the classroom on campus. So there are 2 pairing sessions on January 22nd and 29th. I believe both of those are Wednesdays that I would like you to be in class. Similarly, there are 2 mob programming sessions on February 19th and 26th where I would like you to be in class. It's very important that you get to experience pairing and mobbing physically in person and start out with that. I found that that's a better way to understand it. There is a third opportunity to pair and to mob that happened the week after those. And there you can be remote. Because remote mobbing, remote pairing is also a very valid way to experience it. But again, I want you to get some practice doing it in person first. The other time, the 5th time that you're required to be in class is for the final exam. Even though the final exam is administered on Canvas, I would like everybody here in the classroom just so that we can make sure that everybody is properly focused. So out of the, whatever it is, 20, I was going to say 22, but we don't meet the last session. So 21 sessions for this term, 5 of which I do ask that you're present, that you be here in the classroom on those dates. And I'll send out reminders and things like that. Any questions about how we're handling hybrid in the Joy of Coding this term? Okay, that was all straightforward. Okay. So, I'm very interested in your experiences working with hybrid learning. We have these new opportunities, that we certainly, didn't have, even a decade ago, for being able to participate in, in the place that makes sense for us. But because it's still new, I know I haven't quite figured it out yet, and I think each of you, are experiencing hybrid learning in your own ways. And so what I'd like to do is take some time now to explore that. And the way we'll do that is I'd like folks to break into a couple of small groups and discuss some ideas I have captured here on this Google Doc for just talking about your experiences. I'm going to post this in Slack, although I think but there's also I'll put it in chat. I'll put it in Slack. And it's also on Canvas. So discuss your experiences with hybrid learning. Oops. Post. There we go. We'll put it there, and I'll put it in Slack. Nice. Okay, I hope everybody can get it. So let me just look at the document here. So, um, and actually, sort of like where we're at, I'm actually some of you might have started school after the pandemic. Have never really experienced a full-time world of only in-person learning, um, and so this is good. But we're all still figuring out exactly what it means and what is most effective, and that's really what I'd like to understand from all of you, based on your collective experiences, what works. So things that are effective for you, things that haven't worked for you with hybrid learning, and then in particular things that you'd like to see in this course. I see some individuals are already going, but I'd really this to be a group discussion. So what I'm going to do is I don't know self-organize here into groups of like no more than 4 or 5 people, and find someone to collaborate there, and then I will put people into. I'll also put. I think I'll start. I'll say 4 breakout rooms on Zoom and ask people to join those as well. And so I'll pause, and then we'll come back in like 15 minutes and get back up again. Okay. So there's some good discussions. I want to hear about the results. Okay. Hey, let's get started again. So. And hey, I apologize for the folks in the breakout room if it ended abruptly. I thought when you entered a breakout room, it gave you like a minute. I think it just kicked you out immediately. So sorry if that was jarring. But I was looking over the stuff that everybody captured. This is some good stuff. You know what? I don't want to read through all of this. I do want to focus in on the ideas for the course. But I'll just ask a couple of you. I mean, what were some of the things that you talked about in your groups that really resonated? So things that have worked well, so things that were effective that you want me to know about so I can leverage them here in the course. Good, yeah. Nice, okay, recorded lectures with captions, and you can go faster or slower, probably faster, right? Okay, good. Yep, definitely gonna be doing that. I appreciate the honesty of the person who said can game during class. Why bother? Make a choice. Game or go to class. Don't try to do both. You can watch it later. It's all right. All right. Good. No parking, commuting. We'll have a Slack channel for the course. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Canvas homepage, you'll get a link to it. And please join. It's my. I'll talk about when I talk about the syllabus. It's my primary means of communication with the course. Excellent. Some things that haven't worked well that you want to highlight. You want to make sure that like I don't do something that's hasn't worked well for you in the past. Yeah.
Canvas discussions are just like a checkbox, and like people just kind of copy paste answers in textbook, lecture, online, wherever.
Yeah.
And then people, it's just kind of like you post, you do reply, and you never look at it again. Whereas like an in-person discussion, people are like actively thinking through the problem, they're running into a wall, somebody else is like, hey, walk around that, like it's more alive.
Cool. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have discussions in Slack about the projects and stuff. But no, I don't use Canvas. It looks like lots of people don't like it. Good, I don't use it. For me, Canvas is good for like administering the quizzes. I add the calendar invitations as a courtesy. It's not like how I really manage the course. And really, and I'll talk about it when we talk about the syllabus. For me, the course homepage is really where I'd recommend that you start and where you look. I've got most of this information in Canvas, but it's not really the tool that I would use either. Oh, slow response time by the professors and TA. Again, there isn't TA, we have graders, so they probably won't be interacting with that much. What constitutes a slow response time? Like quantify it for me. Like, what's too slow? Okay, like a week is too slow. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. I agree. That's far too long. This the course goes too fast for that. And quite frankly, I don't want to be dealing with questions from a week ago. So no, I can tell. Definitely not a week. Yeah.
What's the best way to reach out to you? Slack?
Slack is the best way to reach out to me. I'll get a real-time notification, and I appreciate the brevity of Slack. I'll respond to emails, but likely not as quickly. And you know, I know there's sometimes where it's like, yeah, you got to get the whole 3 paragraphs and background information, but I prefer sort of like the more real-time, pithy communication of Slack. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Online labs, just silent Zoom rooms. Yeah, that sucks. Also, although that's up to you all in the Zoom rooms. Here again, we'll be doing well. I mean, like we did today, and what we'll do in future sessions, whenever there's a breakout room, where we're working in small groups here in the room. We'll work in small groups on Zoom also, and I encourage you. I can't force you. I'm not gonna make you put on your camera or speak or come off mute or things like that. But again, just like to the person that so that they can game during class. If you're going to be here, be here. And if you're like, yeah, I'm just showing up to show up or to make it look like I'm here and I'm not really here, I'm not taking attendance. Don't waste your own time, and certainly don't waste everybody else's time either. Nice. Oh yeah, yeah. If there's snow chaos again, yeah, that really sucked last year. I hope it doesn't happen again. Um, but yeah, we'll so the thing is that if we had to, yeah, we can offer everything in the course fully remotely. We did it during the pandemic, but it's not as effective. So and of course, if there is certainly if there's some sort of widespread disruption. Uh, I realized that people might not have internet. I might not have internet. I was out without power for 6 days last year with the with that ice storm around Martin Luther King Day, and that sucked. And so then hey, these things happen, and we'll figure it out. Most important thing, as always, is to stay safe, right? And so like if for whatever reason you're not comfortable coming into campus, the roads aren't there, or hey, being here, well into the evening can be challenging at times. Make sure to take care of yourself first. Um, a good excuse for some profs to do more research. Uh, how do I interpret that? So it's like teach an online course because it seems easier. I'm not a real professor, so I don't do research. That's all right. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, homework due on midterms and final exams. That might happen in this. That could happen in any course. Well, actually, okay, this is going to happen. Sorry, there's going to be work that's due. There's going to be project work on midterm week, and there's going to be projects due on finals week. Please adjust your schedules accordingly, and you'll have ample opportunity to get an early start when you need it. Okay, and I do want to focus in on some of these things in the right-hand column, though, the ideas for the course. See the professor refactor code in class. You're going to see that. You're going to see me write a lot of code, and we'll be doing some refactoring along the way. And as a matter of fact, so on February 3rd and 5th, for 3rd and 10th, we'll be focusing on a refactoring kata, which I really like. So you get a super ugly piece of code and that has no tests, and you write tests to understand what it does, and then you refactor it to make it better and keep the test passing. So I think that'll be a good experience for us this term. I'm glad that people are thinking about it. Code examples of class we're going to see. Office hours for TAs. Again, we don't have TAs. We have graders. My office hours are an hour before class, and by appointment. Listen, if it's like Sunday afternoon and you're stuck on the project and you need to you just want to talk through some stuff, I'll try to be as available as I can. It's important to me that you are successful with the course and that you're not blocked. Career development ideas. That's a good idea. How not to ghost or get ghosted with regards to career development. I can't help you with your dating lives, but I can certainly offer my advice on career development. So let's put a pin on that one and set a reminder that, hey, maybe later in the course we can talk about that, because I'm happy to share my thoughts. Office hours I got, study group in Slack. Hey, there's the official class Slack channel, but feel free to create other Slack groups for your with your peers if you want to collaborate appropriately. Have in-class activities. Oh, we will. So like there was one tonight, and then of course we'll have the pairing and the mobbing, and there'll be other opportunities. As a matter of fact, on not next week. No, sorry, not on Wednesday, but on the Monday. I think next week, one of the sessions we will have another activity like this, where we start producing brainstorming as groups, and then we'll work more individually after that. Oh, change the lecture time from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sorry, I assume that means change the lecture to run starting at 6 and ending at 8, or technically 7:50, I guess, because if we're worried about that. What do you think? I'm seeing some thumbs up. I'm seeing some okay. I'm very supportive of that. I got to admit, I sort of sat here and marked time and told some dad jokes and stuff before class. And my gosh, I mean, it's 7:30. I'm ready for bed. Right? Yeah. So Okay. Here's what I'll do. I want to get some more feedback, some more input on this one. So on Wednesday, we'll meet again at 6:40. But between now and next Monday, I'm going to put it out there and ask for objections for anybody. There might be someone who has a very legitimate, they might have another class that meets or something. I want to take that into account. But then let's sort of pencil it in that starting next Monday, we'll meet at 6 p.m. I believe I'll also confirm that, yes, the room is available. And that way we can, thanks. Yeah, that way we can end sooner because, yeah, I mean, I don't know, 8:30 is not super late, but I wouldn't mind getting home, before 9 o'clock. Study groups, Twitch, Discord, go for it. I mean, I have no objection. Just be mindful of copying other people's work. Guided note sheets for each lecture. Well, I've got lecture materials that really aren't like what we cover in class. Some classes do have sort of Google Docs like this, and there's some handouts and stuff. But I don't really read from a script. So, geez, I should probably write some notes for myself so I remember everything. But I don't think it'd be anything that'd be meaningful for you beforehand. GitHub Classroom for assignments. That's interesting. I haven't thought about using GitHub Classroom. Maybe I could. We'll talk about how projects are submitted in a couple of weeks. But that's maybe something I can look into for the future. Full class group project. You'll be doing mob programming, so you'll be working with about 4 or 5 other people. But boy, having everybody work on a group project, it's not really the nature of this course. And from what I've heard from other students, that can be a dicey scenario, making sure that everybody contributes appropriately. But that's a good idea. That would be a super valuable thing if we could achieve it. Hands-on assistance with PS2 Linux machine connections troubleshooting. Yeah, I mean, I can maybe help with some things, but also the cat is also very capable of helping you there. Yes, yeah. If someone can't make a pair or mob session, reach out to me. Hey, if you know now, hey, I'm gonna be out of town, or hey, I'm getting gallbladder surgery out of town, or whatever you're doing, right? Let me know, and we can work something out. Again, I want you to be successful, and but I also realize that life happens. So yeah. Being able to substitute assignments and projects from hackathons. Again, that's on this course. I want you to do the assignments there. Some of this is sort of selfish on my part. I don't know how to assess a project that isn't one I assigned. And so then, I don't know, maybe do a special study with a different professor or something like that if you want to do hackathon stuff. But cool. Those are great ideas. Any of these that you want to talk a little more about, or any that really jumps out at you that something you want me to know about? Something you really want me to do? Well, yeah. Yeah, let's make some decisions, right? Yeah, because again, 6:40. It's such an awkward time too. Like I couldn't schedule it like in Zoom because they can do 6:30. They can't do 6:40. I'm like, well, yeah. So why are we meeting at 6:40? Anyway, I'm sure it made sense to somebody. Okay, good. Lots of people seem to like that, and so then we'll try very hard to make that happen. That's something that can be valuable to me also. Sweet. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time here on the first day to, to talk with each other and then to share your experiences with hybrid learning. I think it'll make for a better course overall and help us be more effective in this hybrid mode. Okay. What are we doing next? Let's talk about the syllabus, right? As first day of class, we got to talk about the syllabus, right? And then we will use Git and GitHub to set up the projects. And so let's see here. We started at, okay, it's been almost an hour. Well, let me start in on the syllabus, then we'll take a break, and then we'll do Git and GitHub. Okay, this is the course homepage. I posted about it in Slack. This is how I want things to be laid out and how I want to see them. And it's got everything that I think you need for the course, the content of the course especially. So here's what we're doing tonight, right? In each, almost every session, there's some slides that I want you, well, so there's some lecture content that I'd like you to review. All the lecture content is available as PDF slides if you just want to read through them, if that kind of learning works well for you. Or if you're like me and you prefer words along with your spoken word along with your written words, I have screencasts for each one of these, and try to break it up so they're no longer than about 45 minutes a piece. And I've got the entire playlist over here on YouTube. But please, the intent is that you do take some time to review the materials before class because it'll be relevant to what we discuss that day or that week. Let's talk about the syllabus. Okay. So, as I said in those introductory slides, we're here to explore contemporary software development, and to do so using Java and Android. So we'll be having these, they're recorded lectures that are delivered asynchronously. You can watch them at any time. And then we'll also have in-class discussions, we'll have demonstrations, and we'll also be doing pair and mob programming. We'll also be demonstrating what you've learned in a couple of ways. The first is a multi-phase project, and we'll talk about that next week. It's there on the website if you really want to go see what you're getting into. But the idea is that over the course of the term, we'll be building up a 6-phase, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. A 6-phase project, starting very simply with a simple Java program and then ultimately evolving it to your Android application. There will also be a series of quizzes and exams to assess your knowledge of the concepts that we cover in the course. The quizzes are based primarily on the lecture material. So what are some of the topics that we'll be covering? We'll talk about the standard Java library. Oh, question, yeah.
Regarding the Android projects that we'll be doing,
Yep.
as far as one of the things is Gradle is the backup standard for Android. What you mentioned about how we use Maven.
Yeah.
Are we going to try to force using Maven for Android?
We are not going to, no. So a good question about most of the course is about, you use Maven to build the projects, but in Android, it works a lot better with Gradle. Yes, that's what we're going to do. So for projects 1 through 5, you're going to be using Maven to build the projects. And then in project 6 with the Android, we're basically going to start over again with a brand new project that uses Gradle. So then you'll get lots of experience running Maven projects, building them and having them run the tests and everything like that. Many years ago, I had students write their own pom.xmls, and it just wasn't a valuable experience. And so then, as we'll see, most of the Maven stuff kind of happens out of the box. Like the script that creates the project takes care of it for you. So you have the opportunity to work with Maven to learn about the pieces, parts there, but you don't have to. I found it to be more effective just to focus more on writing the code than figuring out how to get the code to build. Yeah. So we'll be talking about a number of things in the course. Oh, beyond the Java programming language, we'll be learning about the standard APIs that comes with class libraries for doing things like, doing I/O to files, and also utility classes for collecting objects together, for sorting, for formatting dates, great stuff like that. You'll be seeing a lot of unit testing. You'll be writing unit integration tests for your own programs. You'll see me doing a lot of test-driven development. I highly encourage you to do test-driven development. And as we'll learn about in a couple of weeks, there are code coverage requirements for your project, so you'll have to write tests. And then you'll, as we were just saying, be seeing how to use Maven to build Java projects. Question there. Is there a specific version of Java or the JDK that we should be using? Yes, we will cover that when we set up the project. But I think the answer is at least Java 17. And I validated on up through 21 or 22, whatever's the latest. We'll also be coding with others, both in pairs and on ensembles. And so then this is something that we experience here in class. And we'll be doing what are called code katas, which are little programming assignments, basically, there. And as we'll talk about, your projects, the assignments are done individually, but we'll have an opportunity to work with others in those katas. We'll also be looking at code refactoring and effective techniques for object-oriented programming. And then later on in the course, we'll look at web application development. And this is via a REST API. So it's only an 11-week course. I can't really justify making everybody learn JavaScript or HTML. And so then we'll be writing REST APIs using Java code. And so it gives you a nice introduction to some of the lower level concepts of web application development. We'll be seeing design patterns like dependency injection, and we'll learn how to use mocking libraries to write tests for that leverage, or allow you to write tests using mocking framework to write tests that interact with that interact with complex objects. That we'll see that with the REST API project, and then we finish off with developing an Android application to do some small device user interface development. So there's a lot of stuff. We cover a lot of ground in this course, both from a practical application standpoint, leveraging Java and everything it has to offer, and then also from a conceptual standpoint, being able to explore various aspects of software development and what it means to be a computer programmer in the year 2025. Okay, so those are the kind of things we're covering. What does the grading structure look like? This is important to know, right? This is how ultimately you'll be assessed and how you get a grade in the course. The bulk of your grade is determined by the multi-phase project. This is for undergraduates, it's a program-intensive course, and so then that accounts for the lion's share of your grade. So that multi-phase project is built over those 6 phases, accounts for a total of 60% of your grade. There are 8 quizzes that are given in the term. We dropped the lowest one. Each quiz is worth 3%, so that totals up to 21%. Quizzes are given online in Canvas and are due before class on Wednesdays. Oops, sorry, this is obscuring stuff. The pairing and mobbing, and we'll talk about this a little later on, is assessed via individual reflection that you do. So basically, you write about your experiences pairing and mobbing, the observations that you have, what was effective, what wasn't effective. So, you know what? I think I have a typo here. There are actually 3 opportunities to pair program and another 3 opportunities to mob program. I'd like you to be at the 4 that are in session, and then the 2 opportunities to pair, the 2 opportunities to mob that are in person. Those are mandatory. If you want to do the 3rd one or participate in it remotely, that can be optional. And again, the reflection is a quiz on Canvas. There is a final exam. It's given on the final Monday of the term. That'll be March 17th, I believe. That's worth 12%. And notice that's kind of the smallest component of your grade. So this isn't one of those classes where you can sort of like do nothing during the term and then ace the final. Even if if you did that, sorry, you're not going to do very well. And so then please keep up with the work and ask questions when you have them. So the projects are due on before class on Wednesdays. That's when I have stuff done. Oh, sorry, that's when I have stuff due. And each student has 2 late days that they can use on any project. Sorry, 2 late days during the term that can be applied to any project, and at your discretion. Also, you may resubmit one project within a week of the original grading with no penalty. The idea here is that, hey, maybe you misunderstood something about the assignment, or you just had like a bug that caused like every test case to fail. I'm not going to give you a 0 or whatever. I think is a good reason to resubmit. Otherwise, my policy is not to accept any late work. There's a lot of work in this course, and I can't justify grading project 1 during the last week, right? The graders and I have moved on from there, and so then we need to keep things moving, and so that's why I don't really accept late work other than these policies. Also, some notes on grading. By policy, I grade on a curve, or rather, I reserve the right to grade for a curve. I haven't graded on a curve for like many, many years. Yeah.
Will the grades for projects be done in scripts that the TA or the graders will run?
Well, yes. I mean, there is a script that runs the program and produces outputs, and then the grader reviews the outputs and assigns and scores each test scenario. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, do we get access to scripts?
No. I'm sorry. No, you can't. And I can't do it without smiling. No, I'm not going to give you that. Sorry. No, I'm not going to give you the test cases. If this was CS 101, I would consider that. Come on, this is like a senior level, graduate level course. A big part of what I want you to experience and learn here is to take a specification and think critically about, well, what needs to happen in these scenarios? And I think with test-driven development, you'll do that. But it runs the risk, and the number of students will misinterpret something, or I didn't think of that test case. It's like, oh, yep, you didn't. Okay, and so you lost a couple points. Yep. So
the scripts that you run are reliable.
Yes. And actually, what they do is the script is all about the input to the program, and then it's up to the grader to interpret the output to see if it matches the expectation. So hey, something like. You run the program with no command line arguments, and does it print out a nice error message, or does it follow with no pointer assumption? Right? Is that kind of thing. Yeah. Grading on a curve. Here again, it's my policy to grade on a curve. I never end up doing it because I found that over the years, the grades, letter grades cluster quite nicely. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. I want to note that the content for the undergraduate and graduate sections of the course is exactly the same. Right? Maybe I should find some way to distinguish it if anybody's got some good ideas about how I can, have a different work for graduate students than undergraduate students. It doesn't cause me a bunch of headaches. I'm happy to hear it. But I do. But the grading curve for, if there is a curve, for graduates and undergraduates will be separate. Don't cheat. I use this tool called Moss that compares submissions, and it's very good. It makes it very clear when someone has copied. And you might think that you're smarter than the tool, but no. You're not. You can rename variables. You can, add more comments. You can take out comments. It'll figure it out. It's really smart. So please don't do it. And this means don't look at anybody else's code for the projects. Now, for the mobbing and the pairing, yep, absolutely. You're meant to collaborate. That's your opportunity to collaborate. When it comes to the projects, nope. As a matter of fact, I say here, it's like, yep, you can talk about the projects. You can draw pictures on the whiteboard and stuff. Just don't look at anybody else's code. Resist the urge if someone asks you, oh, hey, can you send me how you did it? Or, hey, can you give me access to your GitHub repository? Please say no. And also, don't put any of your code in a public GitHub repository. If you want, after the course or something like that, if you want to put it in your portfolio, you and I can talk about like how best to do that. But please keep your work confidential, because if someone ends up with your code and uses it and I catch you, you're both in trouble. So please don't do that. I think the most important thing is like, hey, if you have a question or a concern, just ask about it. I had, that was several years ago now. I had, I caught a cluster of students that were all copying each other's code. And when I confronted with them, they're like, well, I thought we were doing mobbing and pairing in this course. And I'm like, that was for some, those were the katas that we did in class. This is very different. So it's something that I emphasize now quite vociferously. My expectation is that when you're doing the quizzes online, you aren't sitting there with ChatGPT asking it the questions or looking them up on Stack Overflow. It's meant to be your own work. I don't have a way to enforce that other than like bringing you all here into the classroom and giving you pieces of paper and having. We're not going to do that. This isn't 1997 anymore. The expectation that I have is that the work, all of your work, that's individual work, is your own. If anybody wants to use an AI assistant for the course, come talk to me about it. I'm really curious about like what it means, and what it's capable of. So and I'm willing to engage in a serious conversation about how it might be leveraged. So that's something you want to do, reach out, and and we can look at it. Any questions about cheating? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the quizzes are, it's short answer. I mean, multiple choice. I mean, this isn't like third grade, right? It's like, how do they, yeah. So, yeah, that makes it easy for the teacher to grade it. Yeah, right. Or like, and then they get all tricky and nope. Short answer. What I'm looking for in the quizzes is, can you succinctly describe the concepts that you're learning, right? So the code, demonstrates that yes, you can apply what you learn, but the quizzes are more about communicating what you've learned in written language and doing so in a way where the grader can look at it and very quickly say, oh yeah, right, that person understands this particular concept. Yeah, they're timed. I don't remember. It's like 4 questions in like 20 or 25 minutes. Anybody who has DRC accommodations, I'm happy to change it. Let me know if you're finding that there's enough time on the quizzes. It hasn't been a problem in the past. Spotty internet? No, not recently. But here, if you have a problem, and someone will sort of will undoubtedly say, hey, listen, yep, something happened with my internet connection, or I started and I didn't realize it was still going. Cool, we can figure it out. That's not a big deal. Yeah. Oh, quizzes are the quizzes represent the final. I'll talk in more detail about the final exam later, but the final exam is comprehensive. It can cover, it covers any material in the course, and it looks a lot like the quizzes in that they are short answers. So my intent with the final is not to be tricky, nor is it to give you, nor is it to like ask like the ultimate question that demonstrates all your. No, it's in that course. 12% of your grade, right? I'm not going to work that hard, and you should you. So yeah, the final exam is really your opportunity to demonstrate a holistic understanding of the topics that we covered in the course. Okay. Lecture notes and the screencasts are all available on the website. Please review them and manage your time. Hey, there's a lot of work in this course. There's a lot of stuff to read. There's a lot of stuff. Well, there's lots of review. There's stuff to do. Even if some of the projects might seem straightforward at first, the feedback that I've gotten is like, oh yeah, I thought it was easy, but you know what? That took me like 20 hours, right? So get started on early. We'll talk more about the requirements for documentation, document your code as you write it. Yeah. Yes, we'll be talking about, well, you'll be writing Java docs, and we'll talk about that requirement next week or something. Yep. Please ask questions when you've got it, got them. There's no shame in it. As a matter of fact, what I've always found is that the students that ask questions end up doing best because they'll take the effort and and realize that there are things that they don't know, and then they seek answers to it, and then they know something. Yay, mission accomplished, right? It's a win-win. So please don't waste your own time by by getting stuck or working harder than you need to resolve something. Balance your workload. Lots of code examples in my GitHub repository, and we'll see them all throughout the course. They're there for you, right? If you look at the lectures, there's lots of code in the lectures, and so then please go through them and work with them. My office hours, as I said, are an hour before class on Zoom. I'll use the same class Zoom and join. Feel free to join, and we'll work. I'll just keep everybody. We usually work one-on-one, and so people will be in the waiting room for a while. Join the Slack workspace. You can also get in touch with me via email. But one that I find easiest to remember is whitlock@cs.pdx.edu. At one point, maybe this is not the case anymore, there's another person called David Whitlock who's getting my email from my students, and everybody was really confused. So I'm not Whitlock at PDX, I'm whitlowcd at pdx.edu, but I get email from either. I should probably receive email from me from my personal Gmail, I use that a lot. Emails from the grader sometimes are marked as spam. Maybe it's just the way I send it or something like that. But if you see something on Slack where I'm like, hey, your projects have been graded, look for the email from the grader, and you don't see it, check your junk folder, your spam folder, or whatever for those emails. Again, leverage the course webpage for information. And after the break, we'll talk about the survey program, and because it provides me some very important information about you and lets you create your projects. I do not have PowerShell scripts, and the expectation is that you run the scripts on the PSU Linux machines. That's because I didn't want to have to maintain script for Windows, and it allows me to sort of control some other things about the whole workflow. So yeah, that's the test for me. Okay, any questions about the syllabus? There's a lot of stuff here, but anything that's sort of piqued your interest or any clarifications that you like? Yeah. The what? Sorry, the projects? Yeah, I mean, 6 phases. We're not going to go into details tonight. We'll see project 1 next week. I think is when it gets assigned. When do we assign project 1? Right next Wednesday? Yeah. We'll get there. And you can always read ahead too if you're curious about it. The assignment is the same for everybody, and you have an implementation that's your own. Does that answer your question? Yes. Yeah, we'll see this in the coming days. I'm trying not to throw so much on you. Trust me, this is a 4-hour lecture once a week. You saw so much stuff. You would see so much stuff on week 1. I'm trying to pace it so that you can focus on smaller chunks. It'll be easier for us to drive things to done. Yes. Okay, let's take a 12-minute break. Come back at, is that right? Yeah, fine, we need time. At 8:10, and then we'll look at the GitHub repository. Hey, okay, it's 8:10, we got 20 minutes left. And so let's use that time to to create the GitHub repository that you'll be working in for this course. A quick show of hands, how many people have used Git? The Git tool, this is about everybody. Good, great. How many people have used GitHub? Okay, just about everybody too. So hopefully you are familiar with most of these concepts. I do have, if you're not familiar with Git, actually both Git and GitHub, I do have, I did prepare a lecture on it. But if you're used to cloning repositories and doing git add and git push and git commit and git push and things like that, you should be fine for this course. Branching is not required, so hopefully all that's familiar to you. But if you want to learn more about it, feel free to check out that lecture. So over the years, I've developed this template repository to help people get started with the course. This gives us a nice common denominator for our environments, which makes it more streamlined. It gives you as a student a more streamlined experience, and gives me just sort of fewer variables to deal with when it's making sure that people are successful. And it also then helps all focus on the important stuff in the course, like writing Java code and learning about the APIs, and not so much like figuring out things about GitHub and how to organize maybe projects and stuff like that. So tonight I want to get started with all of this. There are detailed instructions here in the README for this getting started repository, and let's just dive into it. So you'll need to install Git on whatever machine you're going to access this repository on. And I have some blurb here about Git and its awesome and IntelliJ's awesome integration for it. By the way, IntelliJ is the IDE, the interactive development environment for that I recommend for this course. You're going to be seeing me use it over the course as I write my code. I recommend it for you. It has a great free option for students. And it's a professional tool. But if you're familiar with VS Code, or if you really want to do VI, yep, you can. But I'll support anybody that uses IntelliJ. For others, you're kind of on your own because I don't use those other tools. So please create yourself a GitHub account. I recommend the student developer account. It gives you free private repositories because you'll be needing a private repository for this course. And so let's just do that now. So I'm going to open this up in another tab so I can go between things quickly. So here's what we're going to do. Each of us I'm going to create my own repository for the code that I'll be writing in this course with you, and I'd like each of you to do the same. Feel free to follow along in real time now, or to come back to these instructions and the recording of the class later this week. Ideally tomorrow. So if there are any problems, we can talk about it on Wednesday. This is a template repository in GitHub, which means it makes it easy to create other repositories starting with the current state of this code. You do that by clicking this Use This Template dropdown and say Create in a New Repository. This takes you to this screen where you can select your template. You don't need to include branches. And you'll have it in your own organization. And the repository name that I recommend is Joy of Coding Winter 25. You can use whatever name you like, although it'll make it easier for me and anybody else who's working with it to use this name. You will want to make a private repository. This is where all the source code that you write for your projects will go into. That code should not be visible to anybody else. However, I'm going to make a public one so that you can all see the code that I write and leverage it in your own assignments. If that makes sense. So again, you'll create a private repository. I'm going to create a public repository. I recommend you call it Joy of Coding Winter 2025. And I'll click Create Repository. Public repository in my personal account. Yep, exactly what I want. This takes a moment. Great. And now I've got my repository with the creation scripts that I'll use for the projects and some other scripts like submit and survey. So now that I've got this, we'll go back to the other instructions here. Oh, there's a couple of notes. Again, make it private. I encourage you to make me a collaborator on your private repository. It makes it way easier for me to help you overcome problems with your code if I can access it and if I can do things like if I can do things like put up a PR, a pull request against your repository if I've got a fix for something that's broken. As your question came in, do we need the student developer thingy? Do you need to? You need to be able to create a private repository. Is ultimately what you need to be able to do. I think the easiest way to do that is through student developer. But if there is another way for you to get that. So for instance, if you already have like a professional one, and if you want to use it, great, go ahead. So once you've created the repository, we're going to get a clone of it on the CS Department's Linux machines. So I grade all of your projects on the CS Department's Linux machines because it's an environment that you all have access to. And remember, if you don't have access, please reach out to the CAT, get yourself an account. So this gives us common environment to use. And so because of that, there are some, so I'm going to work with the CS Department's machines. Oops, come on, there we go. And then do a couple things with that repository. So I am going to SSH to that machine. Get this out of the way. And I just keep all of my code organized in a directory called Git, and then I have a subdirectory, which is the name of the organization. Oh, actually, this isn't going to be Joy of Coding PDX. This is going to be David Whitlock. Yeah. Let's do this instead. And now here in this directory, I'm going to make a clone of my repository. I have GitHub configured to use SSH keys. That's my preferred way of doing it. You can also do it through HTTPS if you want to sort of get all that stuff working. I have some instructions, I believe. Yeah, okay. SSH keys are personal access token. Yeah, which is what you need, the personal access token, to use HTTPS these days. So I will, oops, I'm sorry, I'll just copy the this URL for SSH access, and I'll make a checkout of my Joy of Coding Winter 2025. Oops, did I type that right? Yeah, 2025 repository. So now I've got a checkout right here. Everybody can see that okay? So this has a number of files in it. We'll see all of these throughout the course. There are these scripts that will create the various projects. We will create the cones on Wednesday. But tonight we're going to start out with the survey program. So over here, let's see here. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, actually, yeah, sorry. Before that, we also need to make sure that we're running the right version of Java. So at least version 17. I'm running 21.05 here in this environment, which I think is pretty much standard for everybody. If you're running a version older than Java 17, then either reconfigure your command line, or if you need some help, reach out on Slack, and we can figure all that out. Also, well, maybe we won't cover it tonight, but you will need to install Java on your personal machine. And here are some examples of how to do that. Great. So on the CS Department machine, oh, and by the way, all the scripts can only be run on the CS Department's machines. That just makes it easiest for everybody, especially me. That way I'm not worrying about having to support a script on somebody's customized Linux distribution that they're running. When you run survey.sh, it'll run a little Java program that asks you some questions about yourself, and then we'll take the answers to those questions and email it to me in an XML file. And this is what I used as input to my gradebook program that I wrote to keep track of all your grades. One of the themes that you'll see in terms of my administration of the course is I've tried to automate as many things as I can because there's a lot of you and only one of me. And I realized that the way I can scale this course to support as many students who want to take it is by automating it. So it starts with things like providing me this information. So it'll ask you for your first name and last name. You can have a nickname if you want. Your Unix login is important. Oops, mine is just plain old Whitlock. We use this to generate, when generating some of the code. We'll see some of that next week or the week after. asks for your at pdx.edu email address. So this is, for me, it's whitlowcd.pdx.edu. And then I'm curious about your major, if there's anybody who's not a CS major. And you either say undergraduate or graduate. And, it detects the name of your GitHub user ID. This is something that helps me add you to the repository that we all collaborate on for parent mobbing. You don't have to share it with me if you don't want to. We can do it later, but I would encourage you to do so. It saves a couple of steps. And so then I'll do that. And then it's a couple of questions like what you hope to learn in the course. I hope to learn a lot. There's something else that I want to tell myself. Takes all of that and then generates this me.xml file with that information. You can confirm that yes, it's correct. And then it emails it off to the grader. There's a separate email and there's a separate account for the grader that gets these things. And that's it. And so now then I have a process on the back end that will take the XML file and put it in the right place. So then I can start working with it. So this is how I get information about all of you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you're talking about like as you do your projects, sort of like how do I get your source code? Oh yeah. Okay. Right. So like the question is, hey, you're right. I want to put something like screen captures in my GitHub repository or something. I think it's okay. I don't. Yeah. It was so the only time that I will like look at your repository or like make a clone of it is like when we're debugging something. So yeah, as we'll see in a couple of sessions, things aren't submitted through GitHub or anything like that. Yeah.
You only have to do this once.
Yes. You only run the survey program once, and here's what it'll do. It creates this file called me.xml. Get status. And so then, right. And so the whole idea is that you run the survey script once, and it gives you this me.xml file, and then you add it to your GitHub repository. And so then add information about myself from the survey program. And actually, it's really important that you have this me.xml because the me.xml file is used by the project creation scripts to get some information about yourself. Again, this is bulletproof so much of the process. People just would, if something got messed up before, it was hard for them to recover. So I can commit that and then push that off to Git. And now if I, oh, sorry, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. And now if I refresh, I now have a me.xml file that I just checked in. Anybody been following along? Anybody having any problems or anything not working? Everything working good on the CS machines? Cool. Because what you've just done is run your first Java program. It's a really important check. Yeah.
This is all with the student GitHub account, not on GitLab, right?
Right. There's no GitLab. This is all GitHub. Yep. Good question. Comment quick. Okay. Good. Oh, thanks, Ferrani. Thanks for letting me know that it worked for you. Okay. Good. Okay. Cool. Well. And that's like the first most important thing for you to do with getting started repository. So create yourself a GitHub repository that's made from the template, and get on the PSU machines, get a clone of it, and run the survey program. Yeah. Any account. Yep. It doesn't have to be a. Are there like GitHub accounts associated with PDX? Do you get like? Okay.
But it's your only associates.
Ah, okay, right, yeah, they're on the GitLab gap. Okay. Go figure. Chose the wrong horse. So cool. Okay. Excellent. You know what? That might be a good stopping place for tonight. Because what we'll do on Wednesday is we'll start working on the koans, and then we'll do the student project thing next Monday and stuff. But feel free to read ahead if you want. The student project actually is optional, um, but we'll get there. You know, I think what's most important for right now is make sure that you've got access to um, Slack and to create your repository, and that'll be enough for the next 48 hours until we do this again. Awesome. Yep. Yeah, I'm. Sorry, what? Monday and Wednesday. For whenever class happens, the hour before I sit here and eat my dinner, and you can join the Zoom or you can come here and chat in person. Yep. Watch me eat. That's awkward. Sorry. So, yeah. So yeah, in his program notes, yeah. So we'll start again at the originally published time of 6:40 on Wednesday. But my intent, or what I'm going to put out there, is a call for objections to rescheduling starting a week from today, Monday the 13th, at 6 p.m. going until a little bit before 8 o'clock, so that yeah we can all get out of here earlier. Great. Thanks, everybody. Really enjoyed teaching tonight. I hope you have a great couple of days. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.